Hello, grade 8 students. In this session, we're going to continue with our digestion chapter, part 5, about the enzymes. The enzymes here, before we start, let's talk about the pH medium. We have three different pH medium. We have acidic, we have basic, and we have neutral. Neutral, the pH is around 7. It may be 6.5 to 7. This is the neutral. Example about this, the pure water. While above 7, it's basic. Example about this, the household bleach and the hand soap and so on. Acidic, it's less than 7. So the pH, whenever it's less than 7, it's acidic. Example about this, the gastric juice and the tomato juice and others. Now, let's move the table of the enzymes. We know that all the juices, they contain specific enzymes, except for the bile, which contains no enzymes. What are the enzymes? Enzymes, they are like the scissors that cut the paper. Enzymes, they are scissors that digest, that cut, that hydrolyze, that transform food into smaller pieces. And they speed up the reaction, they accelerate it, they make it faster, but they remain unchanged at the end of the reaction. Let's start first with the mouth. At the level of the mouth, what is the name of the gland? It's called salivary gland. It secretes a juice which is called saliva. And this saliva juice contains an enzyme, salivary amylase. So this enzyme, salivary amylase, it works on which substrate? It works on the starch. To give which product? To give maltose, which is reducing sugar. Maltose, it's what? It's glucose and the glucose. Two glucose molecules connected to each other. And the chemical medium, it's neutral, meaning that the pH is equal to 7. And the temperature is the 37. We said that it's 37 because it's the normal body temperature. In the next session, we will say why it's 37. First question in this session is going to be for Ali Fadi Basma. Ali, what is the test that we use it to identify the presence of starch?
iodine test.
What is the positive result and what is the negative result of the iodine test, Ya Ali?
The positive result, the dark blue color appears.
Do you study them or you are reading them?
لا يا أستاذ
Okay, starch.
والنيجاتيف
Okay, let's move to Gabrielle. Thank you, Ali. Gabrielle, what is the negative result of the iodine test? The negative result
Yes
of the
أستاذ.
iodine.
The iodine.
Yes, the negative result. What is the negative result of the
No
iodine
dark
test?
blue color. No dark blue color appears.
No dark blue. The solution remains brown or orange in color. Okay? The medium is neutral, meaning that the pH is equal to 7. Maya, what is the name of the test that we use it to identify the presence of reducing sugar? Here, maltose, reducing sugar. Yes, Maya. What is the name of the test that we use it to identify the presence of reducing sugar? Example about this, the maltose.
Yes, Ustaz, I wasn't able to unmute. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah. Maltose. What is the name of the sugar that we use it to identify maltose, which is the reducing sugar? What do we call this test?
First, the maltose gives glucose and glucose.
Okay, I want the test that used to identify the presence of reducing sugar. What do we call it? The name of the test. Iodine test?
No, it's
Bayer
not
test?
iodine. Yes, it's Bayer test.
Bayer test? No. What do you think, Kareem? Thank you, Maya. What do you think, Kareem? What is the name of the test that used to identify
No,
the reducing sugar?
those bio test, it's spelling test.
Fehling test, very good. Can you give
It's
me the
فهلي.
positive, can you give me the positive result of the Fehling test?
Yes.
Yes.
Red brick color precipitate.
Brick red precipitate. Thank you, Kareem. Very good. Thank you, Kareem. So brick red precipitate. So this occurs at the level of the mouth where the medium is neutral. So pH is equal to 7. Now let's move to the second organ at the level of the stomach. We have the gastric gland that secrete the gastric juice. Inside this gastric juice, we have which enzyme? We have the enzyme pepsin. Pepsin, it works on which substrate? It works on protein. To give which product? Peptide. The medium is acidic and the temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Celine, Najdi, what is the name of the test that we use it to identify the presence of proteins?
Of what?
Proteins.
Of proteins?
Yes.
It's uh
Only
it
proteins. Pay attention. Only proteins. Not proteins and or polypeptides. Only proteins. What do we need? What do we call the test?
says I forgot.
Yes, Abbas. Thank you,
أستاذ
Celine.
في أنا
Raise your hand, Yarua. Abbas.
It's coagulation test.
Very good. Coagulation test. If the food coagulate, then it will give a positive result. This means that we have protein. Thank you, Abbas. Yes, Ruwa. What the meaning of medium acidic? pH is what? If the medium is acidic, Ruwa. pH is equal to
أستاذ
7, less than 7, or greater than 7 if the medium is acidic.
acidic
Yes.
less than 7.
Very good. It's less than 7. And always the temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Thank you, Roa. Thank you, Abbas. So here in this stomach, we have to know that it's the only medium which is acidic at the level of the stomach, where pepsin, P, works on protein, P, to give peptide. So 3 P's. Pepsin works on protein to give peptide. 3 P's, and the medium is acidic. Now, let's move at the level of the small intestine. We have first the pancreas. The pancreas, it's secreting the pancreatic juice that contains the enzyme peptidase. Peptidase, from its name, peptidase, it works on peptides to give amino acid. Medium is basic. What the meaning of medium is basic, Hadil? The pH is what?
7.
pH is
Greater than 7.
greater than 7. It's not 7. pH is greater than 7. And the medium is basic here. Temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. What does the peptide represent? Who can tell me? With respect to protein, we have complex form, we have intermediate, and we have simplest. What does the peptide represent? By raising your hand, please. What does the peptide represent? Yes, peptide. It's the complex or the intermediate or the simplest form of the proteins, peptides. I'm going to pick now new students. I wanna, Alma, what do you think? What does the peptide represent? Is the complex form, the intermediate form, or the simplest form? Yes, Alma?
أستاذ ما سمعت شو سألتني؟
I'm asking you, what does the peptide represent? Is the complex form of protein, the simplest form of protein, or the intermediate form of the proteins?
In which one? If the pH is 7?
Alma, pay attention. Pay attention. Peptide. This one, peptide, is the complex form, or the intermediate, or the simplest form of proteins?
Intermediate.
What do you think about amino acids?
Complex.
Complex. Okay, great. Great. Very good.
مراكب. مراكب.
What do you
ما
think
تحكي
about
معي.
Alma, please?
ما كمان.
Ali Hassan Basma, what do you think?
عم يعيدوا.
What do you think?
Understand.
Ali Basma, what do you think? Ali Hassan Basma, no. So what do you think about the peptide? Is the complex, intermediate, or the simplest form?
Of proteins,
Yes.
it's the simplest form.
Simplest form. What do you think about the amino acid?
Intermediate.
Intermediate. What do you think about proteins?
Complex.
Complex. Great. So peptide is the intermediate form, while the amino acid is the simplest form, while the complex form is the amino acid, the amino acid, right? The amino acid the simplest, the intermediate is the peptide, and the complex one is the protein. So these are the table that we studied before, 2 to 3 weeks. I told you digestion is connected to each other. You can't study first part and forget it whenever we study the second part. They are related to each other. You see now, I asked you a question about the first table and you forgot it. That's why you didn't review the notes during the vacation of 1 week. So these notes, they are very important. All of them, they are related. Weeks 24, 25, 26, 27, 29, all of them, they are related to each other. Moving now to the pancreas, the second enzyme. The pancreas, we have the enzyme trypsin that works on a protein to give amino acid. The basic medium, meaning that pH is greater than 7 and the temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Also in the pancreas, in the pancreatic juice, we have the enzyme amylase. Pay attention, your amylase is similar to the amylase here. So salivary amylase and amylase, they are very similar to each other. But here they give the same product also. But this one is in neutral, so pH is equal to 7 in the salivary amylase, while this one is basic, the pH is greater than 7. Also, at the level of the pancreas, we have pancreatic juice that contains the enzyme lipase. From its name, lipase works on lipids. To give what? Lipids, we have only complex and simplest. We don't have intermediate. So it gives only fatty acid and glycerol, where the medium is basic, temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Liver secrete the juice which is called the bile. Bile, the special about the bile, it doesn't contain any enzyme. It works on lipids. What does it do? It did the emulsification. It separates the large lipids into smaller ones. And the medium is basic, temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. Did you notice here? All of them, they are basic except for the first two. At the level of the mouth, neutral. At the level of the stomach, it's acidic. Now let's continue to the third part at the level of the small intestine. At the level of the small intestine, we have the intestinal gland. It secreted juice. What do we call it? Intestinal juice. This juice, it secretes an enzyme. It's called sucrase. Sucrase, it works on sucrose to give what? Glucose and fructose. Also this one, we studied in the first table about the organic food, the types of food. We have carbohydrates, lipids, and the proteins. Yes, yeah, Sabine Swaidan. What do you think, ya Sabine, about what is the complex form of carbohydrates? Yes, Sabine. Complex form of carbohydrates. Okay, great.
أستاذ
What is the complex form of carbohydrates, ya Sabine? Great, 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 great. Hadi Fadlallah, what do you think? What is the complex form of carbohydrates? Complex form of carbohydrates. Hadi Fadlallah.
Yes, yes.
What is the complex form of carbohydrates?
بس زي
Yes, what is the complex form of carbohydrates? Yes, Abbas.
Ustaz, me.
It's polysaccharides.
Polysaccharide. Maya, what is the intermediate form of the carbohydrates? The complex, Abbas say it's the polysaccharides. Thank you, Abbas. Maya, what is the intermediate form of the carbohydrates? What do we call it? Yes, Maya.
Yes, Ustaz, it's disaccharides.
Disaccharides. And the simplest form is called the monosaccharides.
Monosaccharides.
These notes are very important. You have to know them before we start with exercises. If you didn't study the tables, you will have a lot of problems in the exercises. We didn't started yet with the exercises. Next week, I'm going to move to the exercises. If you didn't review the notes, meaning that you are not going to be able to solve the exercises. Second enzyme in the level of the intestinal gland, intestinal juice, maltase. Its name, maltase. It works on what? On maltose. To give what? Glucose and glucose. The medium is basic and the temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So here from their name, sucrase, sucrose. Maltase, it works on maltose. And now let's move to intestinal gland. Here the maltase, it works on maltose to give glucose and glucose. Intestinal glands, it works on intestinal juice to give lactase. To lactase enzyme, it works on lactose. So lactose, it gives what? It gives glucose and galactose. So first, I'm going to ask Sarah Isa. Good morning, Sarah Isa.
Yes, Ustaz.
Where do we find the lactose? Where can we find the lactose? This sugar is found where? Lactose. It's found where? Lactose. Sarah Ahmedi, what do you think? Lactose. Where it's found, the lactose. Can you hear me, Sarah Ahmedi?
Yes, Ustaz.
Lactose is found where? Where can we find the lactose? Great, great. It's the milk sugar. It's found in the milk. Great. So here, lactose, it leads to the production of glucose and galactose. So lactase, it digests lactose to give glucose and galactose. From where did you get this? From the first table. Remember that lactose, the glucose and the galactose. Also, we said that maltose, it's glucose and the glucose. Also, we said that sucrose is glucose plus fructose. These notes already we studied them before. Moving now to the last one, which is the intestinal glands that contain the enzyme lipase. It works on what? It works on lipids. To give what? To give fatty acids and glycerol, where the medium is basic, temperature is 37 degrees Celsius. So we said that lipase, it contains the enzyme lipase, it works on lipids to give fatty acid and glycerol. So if I ask you, Ismail, give me the name of the test that is used to identify the presence of lipids.
Translucent test, Ustaz.
Translucent spot test. Can you give the name of other test? Another test?
Southern.
Southern
Southern
test.
test.
What is the positive result of the southern test? It gives which color?
Dark blue.
Southern test.
Still as it is.
It gives a pink color. Remember? Southern test. It gives a
Okay.
pink color. Okay? So this
Yes.
is related to
Okay.
the test. This is the process of emulsification of the lipids. Lipase, it can digest large fats, large lipids. This is a large fat. Lipase can digest it. So it needs the help of the bile. The bile, it will emulsify. What the meaning of emulsify? Large piece, we're going to separate it into smaller pieces. This is what we call it by emulsification. So this will lead to emulsified lipids. These are emulsified lipids. This means that emulsified, meaning that they are separated lipids, lipids that are not as a whole, as one piece. They are called emulsified lipids. Then lipase is going to digest them by the process of lipase, digest emulsified lipids into what? Into fatty acids and glycerol. So this is the role of the bile. It leads to the emulsification of the lipids. Please, I realize that most of you, you didn't review the notes. So for this week, we now have notes to copy them, but we have to review the notes. Not the notes for this week only, the notes for before. The food tests, you have to know them, their positive result, their negative result, in addition to their indication. Positive, it gives, for example, violet test, give a violet color. What does this mean? The iodine test, if it gives a dark blue color, what does this mean? Why do we do iodine test? Why do we do Fehring test? You have to know this. In addition, you have to study the table of enzymes. Why? Because next session, we're going to solve exercises to start applications. If we didn't study these notes, we're not able to solve the applications and the exercises as well.